You know, you can really feel it setting in the crypto market. Things have not been as ugly as late. The drops haven't been as significant. And this is a pretty important thing that we have to go through in the crypto market before we start taking those legs to the upside, and that is seller exhaustion. And right now, we are in fact seeing sellers exhausted in the market. There's actually a couple articles I stumbled upon talking about exactly this, but I do want to talk about a couple other good things going on for ADA, something that could provide obviously a huge boost to the Cardano ecosystem as well. I do want to actually talk about an assessment from an analyst, pretty well-known one, who is talking about ADA being a sleeping giant. All that and more in this video. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So right now it's about 6:23 a.m. Central Standard Time. ADA's just kind of bouncing between red and green. We're still trying to make our way for the day. I want to obviously see more green as the day progresses, and I think we have an opportunity to do that. Again, it's going to depend though on what retail decides to do. Do they continue carrying these trends? But, you know, seller exhaustion is something we've talked about before, and it's very apparent that it's here. All right. People are running out of assets to sell. And why I'm saying that is you, again, run into this big wall of people that are just unwilling to dump their bag, people that are just willing to hold their bag long term. And, you know, other analysts and writers are starting to realize the exact same thing. You're pushing against a wall that's very, very difficult to move. And here's a good analogy for you guys. Anybody that's a farmer knows what a gravity wagon is. And when you first open up these doors, when this thing is completely full, whatever's in there rushes out really fast. You have this huge flow that's happening, right? That's why these drops off of these higher prices are so significant. You have days of, you know, down 15%, down 20%, down 10%. But eventually it starts to trickle as this thing empties. It goes slower and slower and slower. And guess what? Eventually this thing empties out and there's no more to come out of here. But what you have is obviously a lot of grain sitting on the ground, ready to be put back in here. That's kind of where we're at in the market. We've seen so many people dump their bags and flow out of here, right? And right now it's all parked in stables. It hasn't flown out of ADA to other assets in the space. It's just sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting, right? I guess BTC has kind of I don't want to say kind of taken over. It's been very BTC front heavy in this market, but all this capital that's sitting on the sidelines, at least a huge majority of it, is waiting for altcoins. That's why altcoins have not caught up to BTC yet. That's why we haven't seen this big surge take place quite yet. Now, again, I want to reference the fact that ADA BTC is building to that moment, just as we have before. We look at the total 3 versus BTC, total 3 minus USDT versus BTC, which we referenced early last week. We're actually fighting a little bit of a breakout there. So there's a lot of things that are pointing us in this direction that altcoins are kind of ready to surge, that the sellers have been pretty well exhausted, that they've kind of opened their gravity wagons and they've dumped all their grain on the ground. All right. as they do many times. Okay. Now this isn't obviously a guarantee or financial advice or anything like that, but it's pretty important that you basically wash out the weak hands and you move the assets from the hands of the impatient to the hands of the patient, the people that have conviction longer term, because that is exactly how you set these higher floors as time progresses, right? We've been in the process of setting a higher floor since all the way back here in February. It sucked. I get it. I don't like 5 months of essentially, sideways action or dropping, but I understand that the longer these processes take, the more explosive these moves can become out of there. And that's what we're building towards, is a pretty explosive move in the market. Now, this is exactly what some other people are realizing when it comes to ADA. For example, Jason Casper was actually talking about ADA in one of his videos or streams he did the other day. And what he says is, I'm bullish on Cardano. I hold quite a bit. I think ADA is a sleeping giant. In the same breath, he also mentioned, I think ADA running up to, what was it? $5 or something like that. Target's $5. Not really a surprising thing. And I think that, again, this move that we do see is going to be one that surprises a lot of people. Like I've talked about several times, for people that don't actually look at liquidity pools and order books and things like that, there is very, very thin liquidity in these ranges here. All right. There is not the levels of resistance we were fighting back here. A lot of those have been, again, switched hands from the hands of the impatient to the hands of the patient. So you can see ADA make very aggressive moves through here and frankly target this longer term trend, which is actually at about $2 now, guys, right here, as we get through the next few months. That's where ADA has a real opportunity to make its next big extension. And frankly, just kind of looking back at the prior trends, guys, we're doing the same exact thing. That's why I don't know why people just decide to get bearish and negative and fall for the local sentiment in the market and listen to the loud noise. Guys, it's the same exact formation. We're doing the same exact thing we did last market cycle. And you know what happens following that? We see adoption. That is when ADA performs its best. That's when we start hitting some of these prices that frankly people don't think are possible. But where I think this gets really exciting is when we start talking about some of these developments that have happened within the ecosystem and potential integrations of major stablecoins. For example, founder Charles Hoskinson said they're working with stablecoin issuers like RLUSD from Ripple. I think it's quite promising to bring RLUSD into the Cardano ecosystem. These are ongoing discussions that are taking place. It sounds like, I don't know why I clicked that. It sounds like the discussions surrounding USDT and USDC aren't dead either. Obviously, we as an ecosystem have an opportunity to vote on and potentially integrate some of these major stables. And I have the feeling that these are going to happen right as we start to get into full swing, right as we start to make some of these moves. And it's essentially going to be an accelerant, right? It's like throwing some more fuel on the fire. And that's where, again, people that were like, oh yeah, Cardano's dog crap and nothing's happening, they're going to be like, oh crap, Cardano's doing things, right? So that's kind of my take on this. And again, people that asked when or are very annoyed at how things are going, guys, I get it. Everything has frankly sucked in the market for a long period of time. And it's been about the news. It's been about the suppression. It's probably been, has had somewhat to do with the economy as well. Again, I saw a thing the other day talking about less than 7% of the world in crypto. Guys, we haven't taken these big adoption steps forward. It's the same pool of people here now that were here last market cycle in terms of retail. Think about that. Okay. Actually, probably even less, just because some people have been so burned out from this cycle. But with the introduction of big players in the space and the enterprises that are accumulating, you know what's coming. Let's not go la 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 la. Let's pay attention. The big players are loading up right now. They're going to send the markets at some point. They're going to market to the masses. They're going to push it in a big way. And if you have an enterprise grade blockchain, if you have the tech to do it, we're going to be in a tech driven era. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.